Hello everyone. I'm just making a video about my predictions that have come true, and I just recently watched a video of mine that I made 2 months ago and noticed all the things that have actually come true. And I was trying to post a little thing that I made on Instagram, but it didn't like the image, so I figured I would just go live. And I'm going to try and flip this camera around so that you can see what I have on my computer that I was trying to post. So this is what I have here. This is from yesterday, the 30th. And what I wrote a little bit. I'll just go ahead and read what I wrote, but you see right here, it says 8% right there. It used to be above 20. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll just read what this says. I wrote, around my last COVID-19 video recorded on the 16th, on April 16th, this website was reporting 20% death of closed cases, and closed cases are cases only that have come to a final end. In other words, people who had coronavirus and they either recovered or they passed away, unfortunately. So it doesn't count open cases where people are still not recovered. So anyways, out of that, it said it was above 20% during that time. I don't know exactly when, so I just said 20% because I know it was at least that. I don't want to be lying on this. So I said 20 just to be safe. I predicted that we would see the death rate reduce about 75% in June, such as now. It's June 1st now. And this is pretty much indicating that to be accurate. It's not exactly quite 75%, but I did say around 75% decrease in death from those who are being treated. Looks pretty promising. People are still dying, of course. I said coronavirus was about systems breaking down. It's literally what I said, and then what happened right after? Mass protests, kind of overlapping it. I mean, definitely overlapping it. I literally said COVID-19 is about the energy of corruption and murdering people within the US. Well, isn't that funny that right during the whole coronavirus outbreak, all of a sudden that becomes the main focus of the whole world. And I said that before it made sense. That didn't make any sense when I initially said that. I also predicted that June would be when new drugs would come out as a good not as a cure. A treatment is different from a cure, just so you know. Coincidentally, the first drug confirmed as being beneficial came out in mid-June. The first drug that was actually considered by the news reports and by the government to be of actual benefit, to pass the tests. When people were saying the virus was going down in April, because I remember way back when I made that video, people were saying oh, it's starting to decline. And people were like, oh, maybe it'll go away. I know that was a while ago, but that's actually what people were saying. I predicted that it would stay about where it was and then suddenly spike later on. And you can see on the left chart that it's pretty much gone like that. We will see if my future prediction is correct about it going away right after the spike. Because in my video, I talked about it kind of going kind of flat back and forth, and then it going way up a spike, and then coming way back down, and then basically it just being gone for the most part, but just a little tiny bit of it here and there for a long time. But as far as the pandemic aspect of it being gone. So I'm going to show you this chart again so you can see those are the cases, and it's kind of doing basically what I was saying, you know. Around here or so is when I was talking about it, and it was kind of just going across. It could gone up, and then it was starting to kind of stop and go down. People were like, oh, it's going down. And I was like, no, it's just kind of going back and forth. And then I said it didn't quite go like quite straight and then go like I was thinking, but it did pretty close to that. So we'll see for my future prediction of it just going and then like kind of being nothingness for a long time. We'll see how that goes. There are other predictions, also very interesting. Predicted that poor people wouldn't suffer as much as people with money, such as business owners, and then we got massive government handouts while the businesses suffered. The super wealthy profited despite the moderately wealthy suffering, as I predicted. So I predicted that poor people would actually not feel the economic crisis as bad as people with more money, and that's kind of what we see. We see a lot of business owners, people with decent amounts of money, suffering, whereas those who are at the very bottom of the chain are actually mostly getting a lot of handouts and being taken care of pretty well. In fact, a lot of people who didn't make a lot of money would rather be on unemployment right now than actually have their previous jobs because they're getting paid more. Of course, there are exceptions to this, and there are some people who need the money the most who are not getting it, and I recognize that happens too. But this is just like an overall generalized kind of thing here. Before the protests, I related the energy... Okay, I already said this about the corruption and murder within the U.S. being the energy of COVID-19 that's kind of breaking that apart, bringing light to that. I also predicted that there would be riots in Argentina due to a lack of resources during coronavirus lockdown. You can see them protesting their government and rioting in the streets. And then there's this YouTube video link I have, as well as Argentina prisoners rioting and revolting during the outbreak. And then there's another video. You can find these on my their website, on my little blog section. I posted this. I have not been paying too much close attention to world news and the economies, but if you happen to notice something I said has been validated that I wasn't aware of, then please let me know and comment for me to see. So you can do that here or wherever if you happen to watch the video and see something that I didn't see. And the video where I actually did the reading, you can find that on YouTube or on my website as well, psychictai.yolasite.com. So that's psychictai.yolasite.com. Oh yeah, so this video of the protesters in Argentina, just thought this would be interesting to show. If I can get the camera to switch around. So, protesters gather in front of, I don't know how to say that, government house on Labor Day. Just as I predicted, demanding resources from the government, protesting against the government. There's more footage. very similar to the protests we're seeing now in regards to Black Lives Matter, except this was them protesting against the government for not having resources during coronavirus, and the shutdown was destroying their economy, which was already pretty bad to begin with. I also saw in my video that the United States would cut funding to South America, and then later I found that the United States has already actually done that for Argentina recently, and it's been screwing them over economically.
No se está llegando con la suficiente asistencia y encima se está agravando la situación sanitaria que tiene que ver con el problema del coronavirus y también con el dengue.
Let's see this prisoners rioting video.
The Devoto prison in the city of Buenos Aires taken over inmates. Hundreds of them on the rooftop of the only prison in the city. We need help. We don't want to die here, they said. We're not animals. One guard tested positive in the past week, and prisoners say they fear for their lives. Water and electricity has been cut off. The prisoners say there are many who have chronic diseases and need to be put under house arrest.
Prisons in Argentina already have a history of overcrowding and lack of sanitation. Rocks and the police responding using rubber bullets. We also heard several explosions inside. Unrest has been on the rise in prisons in this country as inmates are fearful of the spread of COVID-19.
The inmates' relatives came to show their support. They want their loved ones released. They tried to cross the cordoned area. The police did not allow them.
My husband has HIV and he should be at home right now. They're going to kill him in there.
A federal court in Argentina recommended granting house arrest to prisoners convicted for non-violent crimes or sentenced to less than 3 years behind bars due to the risks of coronavirus pandemic. The measure was questioned by relatives of crime victims. This is not the only prison affected. There are at least 8 others where inmates are on hunger strike. Coronavirus is a major test for governments in Latin America. Prisons are just one of the many challenges ahead. Teresa Bo, Al Jazeera, Buenos Aires.
So there you have it. Have a great day. Have to figure out how to stop this thing.
Los Angeles studio time.
And